Hey, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. One of the magic things of the internet is that I can talk to multiple people in different locations at the same time, and this is kind of unusual in that one of the people on this call is actually outside. So let's see how this works. If you hear any weird noises, I'm going to blame it on him. But before we get started at all here, let's just I think maybe the best way to get this going is if the two of you want to introduce yourselves and just maybe give a bit of background about your band, because really good listeners to the show would have heard you many years ago now, but it's been a while, and I think it's maybe a good way to start is by catching up on what you've been up to over the last few years. So let's do a name to the voice
Cool.
first. So let's start with Aaron because you're outside. What's going on?
Hey, yeah, I'm Aaron Bacon, and I play bass for Dizzy, and I teach music kind of just locally around privately, and at a little music school called Forte, and just kind of we've been like doing the best that we can in the times that we have to not get together with each other.
Sure.
And just doing the best at everything, using all of the different tools that we can to keep all the creativity flowing and productivity hopefully where it needs to be, or at least as best as it can be considering. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Kyle?
Yeah, Kyle from Dizzy Mystics here. And yeah, I guess if anyone caught the last episode, that was what, 2017,
Something
18?
like that. Yeah, it's been a while, and I know you guys have been active, and it's just we haven't really had a chance to catch up. I've had both of you on the show talking about different projects since then, but this is kind of the first Dizzy Mystics episode in a while. So for the uninitiated, how do you define what the sound of Dizzy is? Like, what's the easiest, quick Cole's Notes way to explain what it is you do? Because I know there's a lot going on in your sound.
Yeah, I guess I'll go off of like not biased opinions of it based on like other people telling me what it sounds like and telling us what it sounds like in reviews and whatnot. But I guess it's like feel good prog 90s rock, psychedelic rock. But although we kind of like we're lumped into the metal hard music category. So yeah, I guess like fans of metal can get into it through the shreddy nature, the proggy nature of some of the riffs and the rhythms and the off time stuff. But there's a lot of, at the core of it, it's rock and roll essentially, but lots of genres included: jazz, funk, soul. Yeah, all of it.
Well, and I guess like the striking thing as a listener to your stuff too is that is the level of complexity of what's going on. So it's a very small band in numbers, but you guys are putting a lot of technical work into every song. There's a lot packed in, right, into each performance that I think a lot of other bands, even with more members, maybe wouldn't necessarily do. So what does that background come from? Like, did you guys grow up as big prog fans, or where does that sort of intricacy and technical side of things come from?
Yeah, I think, speaking for myself, yeah, I started out, me and Jarrett Delacki, actually, I'm in his band, the Jerry Hattricks, but we both came from our upbringing in the city and in the scene, and being in a band to start in general was like a tech metal punk kind of band, akin to like Protest the Hero, Fall of Troy, Mastodon, that kind of thing. So obsessed with that kind of technical side of things from the get-go, and have since really been inspired by a lot of more songwriting stuff, and at the core of a song, what makes it catchy, and then tasteful complexity secondarily. That's my side of it anyway.
Yeah, totally. And for me, there's a lot of similar, like it started with kind of some of that crazier stuff. Like once I started writing my own like heavier material with some other friends, and once we moved from trying to play like Ozzy Osbourne to trying to play Lamb of God to trying to play Protest the Hero, that really is an experience that makes you go like, that makes you have to go all in on the technical side of it just to learn that, and then it kind of gets you there, and then that's part of your arsenal. And used that for a long time, but lately it's been becoming a lot more focused, and it's been becoming almost, as a bass player, more about like not letting any chops or technique stuff get in the way of musicality, and like trying to communicate ideas and like getting what is in my head out there through my instrument, and like really focusing on that process instead of just being like, look at all these things they can do, or
flashing colors.
Yeah, like there's a old term we try to avoid. I hate to even bring it up, but prog for prog's sake, it's like something I don't think that we do that super. And again, that's I'm obviously biased, but I as far as Wanderlust goes, like I came into those songs essentially just like anybody else would have, without, I guess, having seen it live before. But yeah, it was a good experience, and it was really nice to get us where we're going, and it's becoming more focused. And the stuff that we're working on now is going to be, I like it because it's like it's changing a little. It's changing because we're writing for the first.
Oh, we're losing you.
I think we're losing you. Yeah, but he's still talking, so that's there we go. You're back. You're back. We lost you for a second, but it's okay.
Oh no.
What I wanted to ask, actually, I wanted to go back to something Kyle said a few minutes ago about focusing more on the songwriting side of things. Is it difficult to marry the two, to combine the technicality and the riffs and the chops and all that, with still trying to balance it out and have the type of song that's maybe palatable to someone who's not into prog, or someone who maybe doesn't have any experience listening to something that's overly complex? Like, is it a juggling act, or does it come naturally to you guys?
I feel like it's getting to the point where it's feeling pretty natural to realize, like, a new song will come to us first and foremost from maybe like a simple riff or a motif, and then, or on the other side of things, like for my part, a lyrical idea or a hook or a melody vocally, and really just try not to lose that as the focal point. And then when we add all the layers and the icing and for the layer cake, we make sure that does not impede on the initial thought of the song. So I feel like a lot of the ideas have been sparking pretty naturally, and we're all firing on the same kind of, on all the cylinders of making sure that we're serving a song and serving the original vision of where it came from.
Okay.
Whether it's like there's like songs that are coming from individual members of the band, or pairs of us, or all of us together. So it's pretty natural.
There's also, say, because there's sometimes a really strong, clear vision that'll come to somebody, and we really want to stick to that because that was a really, like, that original inspiration was where it was at, but sometimes it's like a puzzle piece, and you kind of got to bring that and be like, I like to do that anyways. I bring a puzzle piece that's not a complete puzzle and bring it and say, like, can you guys make puzzle pieces that'll fit out of this? And then there wasn't so much, like, maybe there'll be a little bit of like, oh, I want this to be like a funk song or like a jazzy song or something, but nothing too specific in those cases. And, who knows what comes up in those moments.
Right. Well, and I guess at this point too, I mean, of all the time of doing this band, that you probably can connect to each other pretty well, in the sense of, like, you know what direction the other person's going, or three of the other bandmates are going, in the sense of when you're writing a song, you have a feel for each other, right? At this point, after playing together so long, I'm sure that comes into play. And what I wanted to ask about that is, now that we're in this shitty pandemic situation where you can't get together to rehearse, who knows when shows are happening, how do you maintain that? I mean, you can maintain the practicing on your own and making sure you have all the riffs down and everything, but that kind of connection with your bandmates, is there a way to keep that going, even though you can't be physically in the same room as each other? And I ask because you play music that's significantly more complex than like a 3-chord punk band or something, right?
Yeah. At first it was tough to get the flow of being a band in that scenario. Like, it took a while to get the juices flowing and the approach on how to do that properly. But since we've all kind of acquired our own, I guess, digital recording audio softwares from our own homes, nice. And like myself and Aaron and Alex especially, like we all have like programmable drums now, so we can all create like demos for songs from our own homes. But we were lucky enough to have 2 live show opportunities, whether it was like an actual half capacity show at the Park Theater in 2020, or this recent filming for the episode coming out on the 20th. That was a way to kind of get a fire lit under our asses, and we were able to get together like safely in these times prior to this real shutdown. Now, like, we were able to do it in like smaller numbers, or stick to a couple good jams full band and get us going for the live scenario. But since this lockdown is well, among us now, or happening right now, we all have our own workstations from home to build songs and play tennis with. Essentially. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that event that's happening on the 20th. So what's the background there? How did you get, I guess, selected to do this? And how did you make it happen during a pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things. A friend sent us an application for this thing where it's like play and record 2 live songs and be part of this series. And we applied and got in. So that's kind of like how it came about, and just feel really honored to be amongst these amazing artists. Like, if you've checked out any of these artists so far, like
lineup,
Cade Jones, and
yeah, totally, they're all great.
Yeah, and a good variety of different genres and highlighted throughout it. But yeah, like mentioned, it enabled us to to really push to get together and in all means possible, get tight with our parts and get together and write and meld minds to write new songs for this thing. So
yeah, that's kind of a big thing about them as well, is there's 2 songs and they're both new songs, unheard by the public. So it really lit a fire under our ass to choose, what songs out of the ones we're working on we wanted to make ready for the public, with a deadline.
Yeah.
So that, deadlines, they can be stressful, and especially for songs that you're still working on sometimes. These ones were pretty much complete, I think, at the time, maybe just like some polishing to get them ready. But yeah, was a great opportunity.
Well, yeah, one of them especially. Sorry, yeah, like, no, go ahead. I guess this was a good test of knowing what a deadline could do for us inspirationally, because one of the songs actually came to be pretty quickly, and there's a lot of components that didn't exist prior to this deadline, where it came together pretty quickly naturally because of the deadline. So it's kind of a nice little learning curve. Maybe we can set ourselves these deadlines in the future.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, because of the type of video this is, I mean, like you said, there's been a pretty diverse lineup so far, and there's a lot of different types of people watching these shows as they've been happening. This kind of gives you an opportunity to potentially reach out to an audience that you didn't have before, or that didn't know about you before, just because everyone's at home, everyone's watching these to sort of see, what's out there. So how did the song selection work? Like, did you have songs that you knew would be sort of appealing to a wide audience, or did you just go with the ones you thought were the best?
I think we kind of went with the ones that we were excited about, and the ones that, like, we were excited to show people, and the ones that we wanted people to hear. Kind of like, I wasn't even thinking, for me anyways, like, who's gonna hear it, like, I want as many people to hear it as possible from like, no, it doesn't matter to me who you are.
And it's kind of funny, initially when we first knew we were selected for this episode, at first it was like we chose 2 songs from the first album, Wanderlust. It's like, all right, these 2 songs, cool. And then we were thinking, it's like, wait, what if we finalized like writing one of these new ones and then a Wanderlust song, and then eventually it's like 2 new ones. Let's just do it. Screw it. And it worked out.
So for people who are familiar with Wanderlust, like, what do these new ones sound like? How has the sound developed, I guess, over the last couple of years that it's been since, or 3 years or 4 years now since that record came out?
I feel like, in a way, this is the first official, like, I feel like this is our first album, because Wanderlust, like, it was under the Dizzy Mystics name, but it was a very lonely venture on my part prior to meeting these guys.
Yeah.
And the whole point of that album was to just have something going and then gather people to be able to write, I guess, share song ideas and collaborate. Yeah, and now that we're doing that for the first time, it feels like a brand new album, like a first release for us. And it's definitely a lot more tasteful. There's a lot more breathing room, a lot more catchy, and at the same time a little more intense. So all the fronts are accentuated.
There's a lot of focus, and there's like saying a lot of breathing room, but then there's moments of that same type of intensity from Wanderlust, but more in like a tight part of the song.
Okay.
Instead of being the whole song at that level of intensity. But then there's also a lot of different types of intensities that we explore other than just busy, you know, like we have a lot of wild tones coming up. We've been doing a lot of cool sounds. That's one thing to be looking forward to, for example.
And I figured, go ahead.
No, just the effect pedals and the boards have grown. So soundscapes,
right?
Soundscapes are like definitely a focus now too. Yeah.
Well, I figure it's probably safe to assume that this is a precursor to eventually a follow-up record, right? So what are the plans? I guess, assuming the pandemic ends in a reasonable amount of time, which is a big assumption, I guess. But like, what's sort of the plan going forward for the next little while for you guys?
Keep trucking and writing these songs. I'm glad this episode will kind of bring some intrigue on those who are interested in hearing if there's new stuff and waiting for it. So it's just to show people out there and show ourselves like we have new stuff. And it'll almost set ourselves a pressure to follow up with these 2 new songs that people will hear. And we also have like another new song that was out prior to that with Center of the Eight. We filmed with Red Tie Productions.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool.
Sean Perrin. Yeah. So like that song and these 2 new songs.
That's a great example of our new direction. If you've seen Center of the Eight, like that. I think we kind of chose that song, I think, because it was sort of the best example of what we had at the moment.
Okay.
Of our new stuff. We had less available at the time when we did that than we do now, but
yeah.
How do you feel about these streamed, pre-recorded, whatever you want to call it, the video performances? Obviously, it's a very different vibe than it would be performing in front of an audience, but you still, like we said before, you have an opportunity to get your music out there and potentially grow your audience that way. Like, what does it feel like playing them when you're actually, in a room with however many people, not very many, and trying to get that intensity and the energy that you would have at a show that was, full of people?
Yeah, it's good to have 3 takes or a few takes. Like Center of the Eight was 1 song with like 12 takes.
Okay.
And and this latest thing, I mean, we played 3 songs. One of them is going to be in the vault for Manitoba Music, which is a Wanderlust track, but cool. The 2 new ones, which will be on the episode, like it was really, we just had time for 3 takes per song, and pretty much across the board, the 3rd take for each one was the one to do. Whereas like, if you're in front of an audience live in the moment there, that awkwardness of that first take playing to an empty room doesn't exist.
Sure.
And so the 3rd take, it kind of gets the wheels in motion.
I did find, and it's like, this is just a little bit, I'm just saying it because it's in there, but like there is a portion of me that was able to focus a little bit harder on like my playing and my energy and stuff. The portion of me that wasn't there to dedicate to like interacting with the crowd and like creating that thing that, doesn't exist if you're both not there. So there was a little bit of like extra focus that I was able to get with just like kind of an empty room for the most part, and like a really professional environment, like action, cut, sound, all that. So that it's a very, very different setting, and like sort of how you started the question there, in these times, I think we got to take every option that we can. Like, I don't think we can afford to be saying, I don't like that format.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess it helps too, in the sense that now you have this sort of professionally produced video of you guys playing live. I'm sure there are tons of videos out there of cell phone footage and stuff like that from your friends have taken and stuff at shows, but now you have this really like nicely packaged professional video, which that's got to help for future for getting shows and festivals and things like that, when you can say, look, this is what the whole package is, rather than just an audio recording or a shitty video recording, right?
For sure.
Yeah, you nailed it.
So what are the details about this video? Like, where can people see it? How can people tune in? Because I'm going to put this episode out shortly before it actually airs. So what's the best way for someone to find it and actually get a chance to check you guys out?
On the Manitoba Music Facebook page, Instagram, there's like a live stream they're sharing from their side of things, and their website itself.
Their YouTube as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Manitoba Music across the board.
What time? What's the date again?
I think it's 7 o'clock.
Yeah, 7
Pretty
p.m.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the 20th, Thursday the 20th.
Awesome. And I assume it's one of those things that'll be available afterwards if someone misses it too, right? That you can like check it out if you missed the actual premiere time. Yeah. Awesome.
For sure.
And like check out the other episodes too, because we're the last one out of 4. And yeah, like we said, like everybody else in there is really talented. And the whole series is like a really, really nice thing. Like it's a really shiny package, you know? Like so check those other episodes out too, because the whole thing is really awesome.
Yeah, they've got some
very
cool talent on there.
To see what artists are doing and their inspirations and what drives everyone in their craft.
And to just find a way to push through this situation everyone's in too. Everyone's sort of tackling it differently, right? So what's for
sure.
If someone wants to find out more information about the band or hear the stuff you already have released, what's the best option there? Where can they find you online and listen to the Wanderlust songs, listen to new stuff when it comes out?
Yeah, any of our social media platforms. We have one of those. Is it a Linktree?
Okay.
Yeah, it's Linktree or Linkfire. I think it's the main one now. Linktree. I'm pretty sure that's the one. And there's like a go-to page for our Spotify, our Bandcamp. Bandcamp, you can actually buy stuff. If you like it on Spotify enough, but that's the main thing. That one Linktree will send you everywhere you need to go if you want to hear anything of ours.
Yeah,
or see
all the typical social medias. We try to keep it pretty covered.
Yeah. Are you still selling physical copies of the first record, or are those all gone by this point?
I think they're physically, like the stash has diminished.
Well, that's good,
since
right?
The last show, but we will be revamping everything about our store and getting the whole like worldwide shipping thing going, distribution. Awesome. We're just going to focus on writing the new stuff first, but if anyone ever wants an album and a copy, they can reach out to us.
Yeah, you can
by any means,
and any one of us.
We'll hook them up for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. And then one more time, let's just plug the Manitoba Music video before I let you guys go.
Safe and Sound.
Safe and Sound series, Dizzy Mystics episode, Thursday, May 20th. Manitoba Music, we'll be streaming it at 7 p.m. and we'll be sharing it around. So
it's 2 new songs that people haven't heard yet.
2 new songs.
New songs. Yeah.
Awesome.
Aside from Center of the Eight, only we know these 2 songs so far. So
yeah,
cool.
See who can figure out the time signatures.
Yeah, that sounds like a challenge for sure. Right on.